Jai Janendra everyone, I'm Rupal. I will be singing a beautiful stavan to celebrate the birth of Mahavir Bhagwan.
एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो वर्धमाननु नाम धरीने प्रगट्यो तेज सितारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो पृथ्वी पर थी अंधकारना बादल जाने बिखराया बादल जाने बिखराया गाए उमंगे तारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो सरवरियाना चंद्र सूरज ना चंद्र सूरज ना तेज वद्याने संपवद्या सौ मानवना संपवद्या सौ मानवना दुखना दिवसो दूर थयाने आव्यो सुखनो वारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो आश भरेलू अजवाड़ू बेली आव्यो बेली आव्यो दिन दुखियानो रहशे ना कोई नो दारू रहशे ना कोई नो दारू हीर जगत नी भांगे वो सौनो पालनहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो सितारतना आंगणिये हेते ही चोली हेते ही चोली त्रिशूला राणी बालकुंवर ने पाणिये बालकुंवर ने पाणिये प्रजा बनी आनंद गेली घर घर उत्सव प्यारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो वर्धमाननु नाम धरीने प्रगट्यो तेज सितारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो एक जन्म्यो राज दुलारो दुनियानो तारणहारो।
Good afternoon, Jai Janendra, and a very warm welcome to you all from London. Wherever you are in the world today, you are very welcome, and thank you for being with us today to celebrate the 2022 Mahavir Janma Kalyanak event. So today we have a very full lineup, and I'm delighted to see so many of you here. But firstly, my thanks to Rupal Shah for that lovely Stavan to start us off, and also Riddhi Jain, who's only 15, accompanied there by the angelic voice of Lata Mangeshkar, who passed away recently. And so a small and brief tribute from us to her as well. So today we have a packed program for 2 hours, and in that there are a lot of keynote speakers, a lot of interviews, and some awards as well, and we'll come on to those. But this is a program run by the Jain All-Party Parliamentary Group, and I'm delighted that the Honourable Gareth Thomas MP, who is the chair of the Jain All-Party Parliamentary Group, has sent us a welcome message. So let's start with a message from Gareth.
Jai Janendra, it's a pleasure to be with you for Mahavir Janma Kalyanaks again this year. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Gareth Thomas. I'm the Member of Parliament for Harrow West and honoured to be chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Jains. As we begin as a country to recover from the full impact of COVID, I'm hopeful that we will be able to return to the House of Commons to celebrate meetings of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Jains later this year, in particular to mark Ahimsa Day. The last 2 years have seen tremendous sacrifice, in particular by those working in the NHS, those supporting the elderly and others in need. And I know that many Jains have played a key role in this, and I wanted to take a moment to thank you all for all that you've done. I'm also looking forward later this year, probably in the summer, to seeing the data that was collected as a result of the census. I believe it will give an opportunity to bring greater awareness of the Jain community to many of those working in our public services and most important cultural institutions. Over the past 2 years as well, I know that many of you in the Jain community have taken very direct steps to help the community more generally. So, for example, supporting the extension of the temple at Potter's Bar, the extension of the dining room facilities for the elderly at Navnat, and the new building in Pinner for JVB. But as we celebrate Lord Mahavir's birth anniversary, we can't avoid what is happening in the rest of the world, from the terrible violence that we're seeing that President Putin has unleashed against the people of Ukraine, or the summits that are taking place to consider how we can avoid destroying so much life on our planet, and the millions of people that sadly we're seeing being displaced as refugees as a result of conflict or as a result of climate problems or beyond. Mahavir's message of non-violence, of protection of animal and plant life, and compassion, it seems to me, are needed now more than ever. Your continued embrace of these values and practice of them serves as a reminder to the community here in the UK and also to the global community of the need for humanity and compassion. Thank you. Jai Janendra.
Thank you so much, Gareth, for that poignant message and also for your words of appreciation for the Jain communities in their efforts to support their members and the wider communities around them. So after Gareth, our vice chair is the member for Harrow East. He is Padma Shri Bob Blackman of the Conservative Party. We have a message from him as well.
Jai Janendra, this is Bob Blackman, MP for Harrow East. Just wishing you every happiness on Mahavir Janma Kalyanak. Last year, COP26 reminded us of the urgency that we need to take to save our planet. And Jains across the world have always believed in taking care of the earth and ensuring that only taking what is needed to sustain life. We're now seeing Mahavir's preaching that all life is interdependent in action. And unless we too take action as one human race, then the earth as we know it will cease to exist. In order to save human lifestyle, we need to save not only the forests, but the seas and the biodiversity that we'll depend upon. Now we're more aware of this. I'm pleased that we'll be planting more trees, encouraging better biodiversity, and ensuring that we look after our sea and don't pollute it in the way that we have done, I'm afraid, for centuries. So on this day, we remember Lord Mahavir. Let us remember that all humanity needs to be not only for people, but also for the environment as well. The worldwide awareness will only increase through COP and other summits. We need to get every nation on the planet not only to commit to the objectives and targets of ensuring we look after our planet, but also demonstrating it in practice. Not putting it off for years, but actually getting on with the job now so that we do actually safeguard our own environment. Now, I'm very glad today that you'll be presenting talks from renowned environmentalists, and it's only my sadness that I can't be with you in person to actually participate and listen to the good words that they have to say. I hope that I'll be able to catch up with those people subsequently. But you'll also be presenting young people, as well as community leaders, with OneJAIN Awards for their service to the community and to our country overall. And to all of those of you that are receiving awards, I say a massive thank you. Thank you for all the effort that you've made. Thank you for your commitment and your continuing determination to do the right thing. And also you'll be presenting Jains in the Army with awards for the sterling work that they do in preserving peace. And after all, it is important that when we preserve peace, that we do so with appropriate strength so that we don't wish to fight, where obviously Jainism is one of those particular areas where it is clear that you want to preserve human life and liberty, but ensuring that it's non-aggressive. It's by maintaining strength that you deter people from being aggressive. Now, of course, we're having to hold this event on a virtual basis. I hope and pray that next year we'll be able to hold the event in the House of Commons where we have done historically, and we can come together as one big community and celebrate together. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Bob. And also thank you for reminding us that Lord Mahavir's message, even though it was 2,500 years ago, still remains so valid today, and COP26 and all the environmental drive that we see today is a message that he has always given us, which is that life is interdependent, and by looking after all forms of life, we ultimately look after ourselves. So thank you for that. Now, we're absolutely delighted to welcome to OneJAIN our latest member, and it's a very special member. It's the Jain Students Association, the federation of all the Jain societies at various universities in the UK. But before I speak to Rahil Shah about JSA, let's show you a little video from the members who founded it, and then we'll go on to the discussion.
Jai Jinendra, we're the Jain Student Association UK.
We are a group aiming to develop Jain societies at UK universities, providing prospective, current and graduate students with opportunities to instill Jain values and strengthen connections within the wider Jain community.
Having all previously been on Jain Society committees at universities across the country, we would like to continue to create engaging and worthwhile events for students, ensuring that we form strong networks and meet like-minded people.
We intend to do this by
providing a national network for Jain students across the UK through various events as well as opportunities for Sewa.
Developing students to become good citizens and role models through improving understanding of Jain values, culture and practices.
Strengthening existing Jain societies at UK universities, facilitating inter-university collaborations and informative resource development.
And finally, establishing and developing new Jain societies at UK universities. We will aim to provide advice on how to set up a society and assist those who are starting off.
With our next events planned for this summer, we look forward to engaging with the Jain student population. Over the next year and beyond, we aim to potentially have career and networking events, seva and volunteering opportunities, discussions about the Jain Dharma, well-being events and more.
JSA is a non-sectarian organisation that is open to anyone who is interested in learning about Jain values and connecting with like-minded individuals. We will deliver a range of social events with the main aim of spreading awareness about Jain values.
You do not need to be a member to join our events, which are open to everyone. However, a free membership scheme does exist. Signing up to be a member will provide you with updates about our upcoming events, as well as insights into activities occurring at Jain University societies across the UK.
You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Jain Student Association, or email us at info@jainstudentassociation.org. Thank you, and we look forward to connecting with you all very soon.
So following that, I'm delighted that Rahil Shah has joined us from the Jain Student Association. Jai Jinendra, welcome to Mahavir, Janma, Kalyanak. Rahil, delighted that you're here and absolutely thrilled that you've put this association together. So before we start, I think it'd be useful just to introduce the colleagues that we saw on the video and which universities they're from.
Of course, Jai Jinendra, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here. So yeah, as you saw in the video, there's 5 of us. Myself, so I'm Rahil Shah. I currently do computing at Imperial, and I'm currently in my 3rd year. There's also Jinal. Jinal is a 3rd year civil engineer, also at Imperial. We then have Nikita, who is a business and management student at the University of Nottingham. We have Sahil, who has just graduated last year from, again, the University of Nottingham. And finally, Rishi, who is currently in his second year studying economics, I believe, at the University of Cambridge. So yeah, there's 5 of us.
Fantastic. So apart from these universities, Imperial, Cambridge and Nottingham, which universities today have Jain societies? And do you have an estimate of how many Jains there are at university?
Yes, so you mentioned 3, so Nottingham, Cambridge and Imperial. I think altogether there's 5 Jain societies. So amongst those 3, there's also UCL and there's also KCL, so King's College London. So there's 5 in total, and the sort of the Jain student population at each of these unis does vary slightly, usually varies around the number of about 20 to about 40 or so. So around that sort of number. So that's what we're currently seeing right now. And with the help of hopefully JSA, we'll hope to sort of build that youth population, not just with those universities that I mentioned before, but also with new universities who are looking to start up new Jain societies as well.
And do you have an idea of how many you think that could be over the coming couple of years?
So obviously it's important to say that we like to be ambitious. So the number of Jain societies we hope can sort of grow as much as possible over the upcoming years. It's important to mention that the traction that we get as an association will hopefully sort of lean our efforts into universities that we see a real potential in sort of starting a Jain society at. To give maybe a rough number, in the near future, perhaps like sort of 3 societies at new universities on top of the 5 that I mentioned before. But that is just a number. We're trying to be as ambitious as possible.
Fantastic. So let's look at this from a practical perspective. So you have students and societies across the country. We know that there are Jain organizations and temples across the country. How can OneJAIN and the Jain organizations help you and support you? What would you need from them? How would you like to work with them? And if this is your opportunity to ask. They're all here. So what is the ask?
Yeah, so it's a really great question. I think it's important to mention that sort of there's loads of different Jain associations and organizations that are within IOJ. I think 33 is the number. I could be wrong about that. But essentially, it's important to mention that we're not looking to sort of step on anyone's toes, because the thing to keep in mind is that each of these associations sort of share similar values, similar philosophy, and all really have the same purpose in strengthening that Jain community. Where we fit into that equation, we believe, is sort of targeting the youth community. So in particular, people aged 16 to 25. And we really feel that we can help to build that and build and strengthen that community, and hopefully allow the youth community to sort of play a bigger role and become more active in the Jain community as a whole. So how we aim to sort of interact with other organizations is through sharing the word of our common values and philosophies, whether this is through collaborations on events, whether it's sort of support shown on social media to sort of spread the word, but just in general, extending an olive branch, if you will, of our presence as a friendly face to sort of extend a relationship with those who share, like I said, a similar value and similar philosophy.
And I think there is a very strong message in there. And the strong message that I take away is that I know that many Jain organizations are, putting a big drive into getting young people into the community organizations once they start work, once they, are out of university, because that's the future of the Jain religion in this country. And I think in the work that you do, you will encourage that. And, for that, I think we're all grateful and very, very hopeful. So outside of that, I mean, looking at university in its widest sense, if I'm, sitting my A-levels in the next year or two, I'm thinking about university, or I am at university, finally a student, then thinking about career and job. What are you thinking about it along in those lines? How can you help?
Yeah, I think that's a really important question, and something that's definitely worth mentioning here, because even though we sort of have a focus on university, and the target audience that we aim to sort of be present for isn't just essentially university students. It's kind of anywhere in that age range, which I mentioned before, 16 to 25. So if we take sort of the younger side of that, so people who are looking to get into university, I think this just the general aim of strengthening that youth community, which I've mentioned a couple of times already. I think sort of having that community and having that community feel is really important for someone who's looking to get into university, because they'll have sort of friends or people that they can talk to, whether it's advice on which university to join, the courses, particular questions that they may have, essentially. So that community feels really important for those individuals to sort of have that opportunity. So that's one side. On the other side, you mentioned about sort of the idea of students who are coming to the end of their university journey and looking to sort of go into the world of work. And I think for this, I think the networking is something that's really important. Not just the networking within this community that I mentioned, but also particularly networking events that we hope to have in the future. And sort of going back on an earlier point, which you mentioned, I think sort of being able to interact with other associations who can help us to sort of get in touch with people, whether it's talks, whether it's individual people, to sort of facilitate this sort of networking from a career and professional standpoint. I think that's really important and something that we aim to do.
Excellent. So let's think about the next year. I mean, you're coming to the end of this academic year. So next year, what sort of events, programs have you got in mind, that you're going to be doing collectively?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ideas which I'm glad you mentioned. I'm glad you asked that, so to sort of be able to mention it and have the opportunity to do that. So we've just started off, as you mentioned before, and we look to have a couple of events sort of have that foundation that we can then grow upon in the upcoming years. So right now we're in the process of planning 2 events. So the first event is just simply like a social event. The details are to be confirmed, but hopefully we will all keep you updated on that. But what we're planning is essentially have a picnic or just sort of a day out in a park, sort of in London. So it's hopefully accessible to a lot of people, to essentially just get to know one another and sort of create the start of that building and strengthening of that community, which I've mentioned a few times already. So there's that. That's one. The second one is a training day. So what I mean by training day is something that us in the committee have found quite useful is sort of before the academic term starts and for the sort of the new start of a Jain society, the committee sort of have a training day where they sort of get advice on how to run a society, the things that need to be considered, as well as an opportunity to meet other people from other Jain society committees from other universities to facilitate potential collaboration amongst those universities and societies. So we aim to have like a committee training day almost to sort of facilitate that, and that will be like a day-long event. So those events we hope to be sort of in June, July sort of time. But just in general, we hope to sort of expand our presence on social media, hopefully sort of grow the network, grow the community, to sort of allow for future collaboration, whether it's for Piyushan later on down the year, or other important dates within the Jain calendar, essentially.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. I do hope you'll come back and let us know how it's going in the coming events. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to get in touch, you've mentioned social media, but if you're able to put details on the chat so that everybody has details to get in touch, whether they're at a university, whether they want to start a Jain society, whether they're joining university or they're leaving and thinking about career, I'm sure they'll do that. So we look forward to hearing more, and please stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mahavir. I'll just put the information in the chat, like I mentioned, and thank you everyone for having me. Lovely.
Thanks a lot, Rahul. Right, so now it's time for our first award, and this award goes to it's a OneJAIN award that is given to a young person who has made a significant contribution to the community either in terms of the impact of their work, or if they've done seva, mentoring, anything that has contributed to the Jain community. Many of you watching this will think that's me, and I do hope it is, because we would like to hear from you for the next set of awards, either going through the OneJAIN website, onejainuk.org, you'll see awards on the top menu bar, or writing to awards@onejainuk.org, and we'll send you the details. But to announce the winner of the Young Persons Award for making a significant contribution to the Jain community, can I invite Mr. Kumar Mehta, who is my fellow trustee and director at the Institute of Jainology.
Hello and Jai Janendra. My name is Kumar Mehta. I am a director of the Institute of Jainology, and today it is my privilege to announce the winner of the OneJAIN Young Achievers Award 2022. And the award goes to Amit Latia. Amit was born and raised in London and studied at the University of Surrey and the London Institute of Banking and Finance. He has excelled in his professional career in wealth management and private banking, and for the last 10 years has been working at leading organizations such as Coutts, UBS and Brewin Dolphin. In 2019, Amit was elected to the Fellowship of the London Institute of Banking and Finance for his contribution to the work of the Institute. He was one of the youngest members to be elected to this status. In the same year, he also attained chartered membership of the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments. His voluntary work has been outstanding. In 2005, he joined the Professional Network Committee for the London Institute of Banking and Finance, where he helped organize prestigious lectures from industry professionals. He provides mentoring to junior colleagues and undergraduates who are studying banking and finance, and is an advisory member of the Higher Education Qualifications Panel. He actively supports the Institute to promote diversity and to help students from all backgrounds get an opportunity to study at the Institute. In 2007, he joined the Navnath Youth Association Committee, initially as an assistant treasurer, and then completed several roles including treasurer, president, and trustee. In 2013, he joined the Navnath Vanik Association Executive Committee, where he served for 2 terms as the General Secretary, and led a number of key projects and initiatives, including being instrumental in leading the organization through its incorporation as a CIO. In 2019, Amit was appointed to the Board of Advisors at Navnath, becoming its youngest member to be appointed to this role. I hope that his service to the community and the voluntary work that he does through his professional capacity serves as an inspiration to others. A very well-deserved award. Our congratulations to Amit. Jai Janendra.
Thank you, Kumar, and I'm delighted that Amit is here with us today to accept the award. And firstly, congratulations on behalf of OneJAIN on winning the 2022 Young Persons Award. It's clear that the significant contribution you've made, and we're all delighted that you're able to be here with us to receive it, Amit.
Thank you very much, Melbai. Thank you to the OneJAIN panel, and it's really I'm so grateful to be receiving the award. It's hopefully just a opportunity to serve as an inspiration to others. I've not been expecting anything like this. I've been wanting to serve as much as I can, and great thanks to my parents, the family, who've always been supporting and inspiring me to sort of do as much as I can to serve further. So once again, really grateful to OneJAIN for providing me with this award.
Thank you, Amit. And after seeing what you've achieved, I really do hope that many others will look at that and say, you know, I want to do the same, and I want to also contribute and be recognized for it. And I think that's a very good thing. So thank you so much again, Amit, for coming to receive that award.
Thank you.
So now we move on to our next slot. And earlier this week, I had a chance to talk to Major Neeraj Shah, who is a major in the British Army. And I wanted to ask the questions that all of us, I'm sure, ask. Can you be Jain and join the British Army? And this is what he had to say. Today, I'm delighted that we are joined by Major Neeraj Shah of the British Army. It's a privilege to have you here, Neeraj, and we're grateful that you've joined us today for Mahavir Jayanti to talk a little bit about what you do and a little bit about what the Army does. You know, for those of us that have lived in this country for many, many years, you know, we've lived in safety, security, without war on this land, and for me, all of that is a function of the job that you and many others like you do, and the sacrifices made by so many to make sure that you know, our democracy, our safety, our security is secured. So welcome to our program. So Neeraj, let me start by asking a little bit about you. You come from a Jain family and live in London, is that right?
Yes. So I'm Oswald. Live in South London. Have grown up in South London. You know, dad's a pharmacist, mum was an accountant, and I'm a doctor, and I'm married to a doctor as well.
Amazing. And now you're in the Army. You're a major in the Army. What does that actually mean?
So I'm an Army reservist. So I have a full-time NHS career, and then I also do a lot of work with the Army as well. So major is a rank. It's an officer's rank. So we have, you know, two sets of ranks in the Army. We have soldiers' ranks and officers' ranks. Major is a sort of middle grade officer. Sort of normally majors are responsible for leading squadrons or companies of about 60 to 100 people. My current role is I'm the regimental second in command. So I'm second in command of a medical regiment of about 200 people at the moment.
Fantastic. So when you say you're a reservist, is this like a full-time role, or do you split your time between the NHS and the
No, I split my time. So you know, I have a full-time NHS job, and then, you know, the reserve bit can be anything from about 30 days a year to what I do is about 100 to 120 days a year. So it's a lot of, you know, annual leave, spare time, but also a lot of employers now do give extra leave for people who are in the Army Reserve to, you know, to go and train.
And so in the NHS, what would your role be? Are you a consultant in a hospital, for example?
So I'm a registrar, so I'm a respiratory registrar. I'm 2 years away from being a consultant at, so yeah, I've just finished at St Thomas's and now I'm at Kingston Hospital.
Fantastic. And so when you're in your Army role, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So as I said, my role is regimental 2IC, so second in command. So my job is to essentially support the commanding officer in the management of the regiment. That, you know, involves kind of administration, discipline, delivery of training, organising training, essentially making sure that our soldiers are prepared to deploy on operations. The role that our unit has is transfer. So we transfer casualties from, you know, one medical facility to another. And that can be sort of intensive care casualties, so critical care transfers, or also low dependency transfers. And so, you know, my role is to make sure that all of our soldiers, so, you know, all 200 soldiers are ready to deploy, so that we can use them when we need to.
And have you largely stayed within the UK, or do you go out to countries where there are operations?
So the way the Army uses doctors is at the moment we have to be consultants to be able to deploy in operations. So I haven't deployed in operations yet, but I have been on exercise all over the place. So on exercise, I've been to Canada, Norway, the Czech Republic, Germany, France, Belgium. There's probably a few others as well. Estonia. So a lot of work with NATO, which is obviously very relevant at the moment.
Absolutely, and you know, at the moment, those who watch the news, I mean, see this daily, so it's very relevant. But I guess the question that you know, this audience in particular is thinking about is, you know, the idea of being a Jain and being in the army, and you know, principles that you and I have grown up with of non-violence and ahimsa and so on. How do you reconcile the two?
I think, you know, it's something I've thought over for a long time. You know, it's something I continue to think over, and you know, I've discussed with lots of people. We don't join the army to kill people. We don't join the army to do violence. You know, the work of the armed forces is, you know, almost as a last resort. It's an arm of, you know, public policy. It's an arm of government as a last resort. We, you know, and actually, you know, Ukraine is an example of this, where, you know, we fight wars of necessity, where our defense, our security is at risk. You know, Russia's, you know, work in the Ukraine at the moment is a war of aggression. We don't do that. We don't fight wars of aggression. And I think when it's wars of necessity, wars of self-defense, you know, there are examples in Jainism's history where, you know, people have spoken and written that Jains can fight. If it's in the interest of self-defense, Jains can fight. Jains can support the military. And I think the other thing is, I mean, I'm a doctor, so I'm not, you know, I'm trained to use a weapon, but I'm trained to use a weapon in self-defense only. But I think even if, you know, you weren't a doctor, even if you were to join as an infantry officer or as an engineers officer, or you know, any sort of combat arms, I think because the way we fight in the UK is as a matter of defense, I don't think there's you know, you're not breaking your beliefs as a Jain by serving your country. And then the other side to it is, it's seva, right? You can argue, you know, you are serving your country.
It's public service, isn't it, really?
And that we are taught as Jains.
Yes, and that's a very good and valid answer. So let's think about this from a practical perspective. So if you had just stayed in the NHS as a doctor, you know, you'd have been a registrar and a consultant and so on, and you're doing that, but you're doing the army as well. What is the difference between being a doctor in a hospital and being a doctor in the army?
Well, it's what you get to do. So, you know, when I do deploy operations, the medicine I'll be practicing will be very different to the medicine I practice in the UK. You know, it's much more resource limited, so it's more of a challenge, and it's, you know, it's something different. You know, when we have careers that last 40 years, and to a certain extent we do the same thing for 40 years, you know, the army brings variety. The army brings something, you know, as I say, different to do. And my current role, so I'm you know, kind of doing command work. So, you know, at no point in the NHS am I going to be running a team of 200 people, right? And at the moment I am. So there's a lot of development from that side of things. So there's sort of, you know, communication, leadership, presentation skills, that sort of thing. You know, you get a lot of that in the army because they almost force you to do it by the roles they give you.
So you're building both medical and leadership skills that you perhaps wouldn't pick up in the NHS because of the, you know, the routine. Excellent. But then, you know, let's think about this from a practical perspective. So, you know, if I'm leaving university today and I'm thinking about a role in the army, either full-time or as a reservist, I mean, the sorts of things that might worry me, can I get vegetarian food, for example? Yeah,
absolutely. So, you know, I've been involved with the armed forces for almost 20 years now, because I joined the cadets, you know, at school, and then joined the officer training corps. And when I first joined, so this is around 2003, 2004, as a cadet, there was one vegetarian ration pack. So if you go away for 5 days on exercise, you eat the same food for 5 days. Okay. Now we have 10 vegetarian ration packs, and actually there are 10 meat options and 10 vegetarian options. So you could argue we're actually seen as pretty equivalent, you know, so really it's not a problem. You eat rations when you're on exercise, when you're out in the field, in cookhouses. So in the, you know, in the canteens, there's always a vegetarian option. So it's just like going to university canteen or, you know, going to a work canteen, there's always a vegetarian option. There's always salad options. You know, the army's changed a lot in my time in the army in terms of health. There's a lot of health promotion. So as I said, there's always a salad bar. There's always healthy options, which are usually vegetarian. So it really isn't a problem being a vegetarian. And so, I mean, that's probably the biggest factor that there is. But apart from that, have you seen other things that, you know, you may not have done
but because you're in the army, you've had to do, or do you find that the army in general, kind of supports you in your sort of beliefs and principles and lets you be what you are within, that organization?
I mean, the army's changing, and it has changed over the last, 10 to 20 years. It's become more and more accepting of practices and beliefs. And really at the moment, the drive is, we are a diverse organization. We accept all beliefs, all practice, all faiths, all, sexualities, all genders. We are an open organization. That doesn't mean necessarily that that's what happens all the time in practice, but it's an evolving situation, just like society is. One thing that I always reflect on is when I first joined, and actually for a number of years, when I had my rakri, I'd be told to cut it off because it's not part of uniform regulations. Now it's part of the dress regulations. It's part of the British Army's dress regulations that Hindus and Jains can wear their rakris. So that just shows how much we've changed in 10, 15 years.
So you don't, that there isn't necessarily an everyday conflict in the role you do?
No, so one of the roles I have is I'm vice chair of the Defence Hindu Network. And Hindu, because we sort of wrap up Hindus and Jains. There's not enough Jains to have a Jain network. But after this, I hope we do have more. But one of the roles of the networks are to be there at the end of a phone for people in that faith to, call up and say, I'm having this problem. Can you help me?
Yeah.
The phone's never rung. We've had to broaden our roles and our aims of the network because nobody has any problems being a Hindu or a Jain in terms of practicing your faith in the armed forces. And, and that's for the last 5 years.
So just expanding on that a little bit, what do you see in terms of percentage of, people from ethnic minorities in the army? Is that again a growing number, and is that a large number?
So it's different between the three services. So the army is better. We talk about representation. So does it reflect society?
Yeah.
The army is better than the Navy and the Air Force. So the Navy and Air Force are quite far away, especially in terms of Asian minorities. We really are quite low in representation. The army is pretty good. So I believe it's something like 1.5% of the population is declared themselves as Hindu.
Yeah.
And in the armed forces, it's something like 1.45 or 1.48. So we're close. That does include all the Gurkhas.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a sort of cheat there in a way, but we are increasing, and over the years we are increasing. There's lots of work being done to try and attract more. I think, and we have fed back a lot to the MOD, to the armed forces about what the attraction factor is, or why people might be detracted from it. And there's a lot of work being done to try and engage with, minority communities to get more in, because you see, in the path of Gandhi, you need to be inside an organization to change it. And so we want more in, so that we have that, strength to be able to change for the better.
And the people that are in, do you see them largely doing, the roles like yourself in terms of medicine or engineering or things like that, or do you see them going into the front line?
So there's a mix, but there is a propensity for our communities to join, healthcare, engineers, sort of mechanical engineering, that sort of thing, the science side of things.
Yeah.
But we do have people on the front line, not nowhere near representative, but I think that reflects our aspirations. And there's nothing wrong with that. The armed forces does not expect you to become an infantry soldier. The armed forces wants everything. I can't remember how many roles there are, but there are so many roles in the armed forces, trades and sort of specialities that pretty much almost whatever you're interested in, the armed forces probably has a place for you. And obviously the other thing is it's a guaranteed job for life. Which is
so coming on to my last question, Neeraj, if somebody is thinking about joining the army or a career in the army, and they're at university or they've just left university, what's your advice to them?
So I think do it. I'm obviously biased, but have a trial, see how you find it, see how you find the culture. If you don't do it, it's always going to be an alien concept to you. If you're at university, one of the best things to do is join the Officer Training Corps. So every university city has an Officer Training Corps, an OTC. It's essentially, you do officially join the Army Reserve, but you're not deployable. You can't be deployed. You know, it's a different engagement, and it's a way to get an appreciation of what the armed forces are, what it's all about, what would be involved in a career. If you're not at university, if you're beyond university, you know, go along to your local Army Reserve or RAF Reserve or Naval Reserve, you know, unit, and just have a chat with them. See what roles they've got for you, and if they don't have a role, they'll put you on to the next, you know, to someone else more appropriate, and just give it a go. You know, there's until you kind of sign the dotted line, there's quite a lot of things you can do to experience what's involved. I think that, you know, the big things sort of to take away, I take away is it's something different. It adds variety to my life. My life is, you know, varied enough as it is, but it still adds variety, and it's stuff that I would never do without being in the armed forces. You know, so skydiving, for example, I've skydived with the army. I was never going to skydive as a, you know, outside the army. You know, it's things like that. You know, going off to, you know, talk about important issues that are going on in Europe at the moment. You know, I'm off to Brussels next week, to NATO headquarters next week, to you know, have discussions about what's going on in Ukraine. Like, I wouldn't get to be involved in anything like that.
Yeah.
In the civilian sector. So there's so much opportunity. Give it a go, is what I'd say.
Fantastic, Major Neeraj Shah. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do and all that our servicemen do to keep us safe and secure. I do hope and pray that as things open up, our next event, Ahimsa Day, in the House of Commons, you'll come and join us in person, and everybody will get to meet you. Thank you so much.
Be delighted to see it. Thanks for you know, inviting me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person this weekend. And also, you know, you've got my contact details. If anybody wants to find out anything more, I'm very happy to, you know, speak on the phone or email. So please do share my contact details to whoever wants it.
Fantastic.
Thanks very much.
Thank you again. So my discussion with Major Neeraj Shah earlier this week, and from his responses and from the discussion, I mean, there is definitely scope to go into further detail with this, but I thought it was very interesting, you know, the answers he gave, and about how the role of the military is changing, and how Jain values can be kept while serving in the army. So if you have any questions, as Neeraj said, please send us those questions. We will forward them on to him. And we look forward to having him at Ahimsa Day later in the year, so you can meet him face to face at that point. So coming on to our second award today for community excellence, for significant contribution to the community. And again, we hope that you can relate to this. We also hope that once you have seen the winner, you too will be inspired to do the work that they do, and to apply for awards and be recognized. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Himanshu Jain. Himanshu is again a fellow colleague, a trustee and director of the Institute of Jainology, and he's going to read the citation for the Community Service Award.
Jai Jinendra. Ashwin Bhai Mehta has done over 30 years of voluntary work, serving the Jain community across several organizations and initiating multiple Seva projects. He was inspired to do Seva from a young age by seeing regular contributions of his father, Shri Harsuklal Shantilal Mehta, at Navnathwanik Association, and his mother, Pushpa Bhen Harsuklal Mehta's selfless support of the family. In addition, he has been working for over 10 years within the interfaith community, promoting Jainism and principles of love, peace, and harmony. He had a life-changing moment in 2002 when he had the privilege of meeting Pujya Gurudev Shri Rakesh Bhai, founder of Srimad Raj Chandra Mission Dharampur, and thereafter becoming closely involved with the mission's activities in the UK. After selling his extremely successful business at the very young age of mere 44 years, Ashwin Bhai fully devoted himself to the work of the mission from 2012. He has been tirelessly working towards the mission statement of the organization, which is realize one's true self and serve others selflessly. Ashwin Bhai's volunteer work encompasses Navnath Vanik Association UK, OneJAIN, Sri Chandana Vidyapeeth, Young Jains UK, Navnath Youth Association, and numerous Seva projects in India. Ashwin Bhai has full conviction and feels gratitude that all achievements in life are directly attributable to inspiration of Pujya Gurudev Sri Rakesh Bhai and by grace of Srimad Raj Chandra ji. Very well deserved, and heartiest congratulations to Ashwin Bhai on this achievement of Excellence in Community Service Award.
On behalf of all of us at OneJAIN, Ashwin, a very, very warm welcome to Mahavir Janma Kalyanak, and our congratulations, our heartiest congratulations on winning this award. Thank you for being here in person to receive it.
Thank you very much, Mehul and Manishu, for that very generous citation. Well, first of all, I say Jai Jinendra and Jai Prabhu to everyone. I'm honored and thankful to the panel of judges from OneJAIN for giving me this award, and of course to those who nominated me. I would very much like to acknowledge the contribution of all the co-servers that I've worked with over the years to help better serve the community, and also said my parents who nurtured the seeds of service in me, and my family who have supported me throughout. So, however, as mentioned, nothing I've done would be possible without the inspiration of my living spiritual master, founder of Srimad Raj Chandra Mission, Pujya Gurudev Sri Rakesh ji, and without the blessings of Srimad Raj Chandra ji. Over the years, he's been a best friend, a teacher, a parent, guide, all rolled into one, showering a constant flow of selfless love onto me. And I feel very blessed to have had so many opportunities to serve the community and have tried to steer my life by the mission's guidance statements to realize one's true self and serve others selflessly. So I'm eternally grateful to my Guru, and I warmly invite everyone to come and listen to his satsangs next month when he visits the UK, and be open to experience the magic that I've experienced, which I'm sure will transform your life too, if you grab the opportunity. So thank you to OneJAIN for the excellent work that has been done to bring together the many Jain organizations in the community, as we are stronger together. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, Ashwin, for that lovely message. And as I said earlier, I think you're an inspiration, and I hope people take that inspiration and also follow this path and do some of the great work that you have done. So thank you again for being with us here today. Thank you. So now we move on to our next speaker, an ex-monk, an environmentalist, a representative of Jainism across major events in the world, somebody who presented at COP26, recently at the Vatican. He is none other than Mr. Satish Kumar ji, who last year won the Ahimsa Award, the Institute of Jainology's Ahimsa Award, a very, very deserving winner for the work that he has done for many, many years for the environment and for the protection of life. And today he's going to tell us a little bit about Bhagwan Mahavir's message on the interdependence and unity of life. So over to you, Satish ji.
On the occasion of Mahavir Jayanti, I would like to express my deep gratitude for the teachings of our great Tirthankar. His most important teaching, which is relevant of our time, is Parasparo Pagraho Jivanam. That is the most important statement of an ecological worldview, that life is all interdependent. Life is all interconnected. We are all made of each other. Now, in Jain tradition, unity of life represents the principle of ahimsa, non-violence, because we are all one. What we do to others, we do to ourselves. We are made of earth, which is alive, water, which is living, air, which is living, fire, which is living. Everything is living. And we are made of earth, air, fire, water. And all living beings are made of the same 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and space. So in Jain tradition, we have analyzed life. Say, some life has one sense, just the body, such as trees, mountains, rivers, oceans, birds, no, not birds, sorry. All these are one sense. Then there are other species which have 2 senses. Then there are other species which have 3 senses. Then other species 4 senses, and then 5 senses. So, but just because some species have just because some species have one sense does not mean that they are any inferior. They have equal value, because life is all interdependent and interconnected and one. So this unity of life is the most wonderful teaching which we need to understand in our time. At the moment, in our scientific, materialistic worldview, we have seen that Earth is a dead rock. And even some scientists and materialistic worldview people would say that animals have no soul. Never mind trees and mountains and rivers and oceans have no soul. Whereas in Jain tradition, in the teachings of Mahavir, all life has soul. Soil has soul. Earth is alive. Earth is a living organism. The earth is not a dead rock. It is vibrant with life. And so we need to say that we are all interdependent. And in this interdependence, we need to make no separation. Separation, that we humans are separate from nature. Nature is out there, the mountains and the trees and the animals and the rivers and the oceans are nature, and we humans are not nature. This kind of separation has caused many problems. And when we say that humans are not nature, then we say, all right, humans are the superior living beings, superior species. And so humans have a right to exploit the rest of nature. So we can do what we like to nature. We are a kind of human colonial power, human imperial power. We are the world rulers. And so we can kill the animals for our consumption. We can destroy the forest for our economic benefit. We can pollute the oceans because we want to make use of economy. And the oceans are just there as a sink for plastic or any other sewage or any human rubbish. So this kind of superiority complex of human species has been challenged in the Jain tradition 2,600 years ago. Mahavir said that humans and nature are one. The unity of life, interdependent life, parasparo pagroho jiva nam, means that we are all one. There is no separation. And therefore, what we do to other species, we do to ourselves. If we pollute the water, we have to drink it. If we pollute the air, we have to breathe it. If we pollute the soil, we have to eat the food grown from the soil. And therefore, whatever we do to nature, we do to ourselves. It is our duty, ahimsa, do no violence, do no harm to nature. When you do harm to nature, you do harm to yourself, because unity of life. This one most fundamental principle is the worldview which we need today when we are faced with great problems of climate change and global warming. Climate change and global warming is happening because we have been excessively violent and excessively damaging natural world. We have been polluting the air by greenhouse gases and carbon dioxide emission. And that has been creating climate change and global warming. And, and that climate change and global warming has been causing lots of flooding and lots of forest fires and lots of heat. Many countries are suffering from a very high level of heat. And that is because of our own action. We are bringing climate change upon ourselves by separating human life with all other life and thinking that humans can do to the natural world, to all the species, what we like. We are the rulers of the earth. So Jain teachings of Parasparo Pagraho Jivana has become more urgent and more important and more relevant today in the 21st century than ever before. And therefore we need to go back to this principle of unity of life and say that we are all one. And what we do to other nature, we do to ourselves. This fundamental principle has to be spread. And you know, in the Jain tradition, for us, it is not so important to label any religion. The truths come in many forms, and they can't. And therefore, it doesn't have to be a label that this is a Jain principle or a Buddhist principle or a Hindu principle or a Christian principle or a Muslim principle. The principle of Parasparo Pagraho Jivanam, life is interdependent and interconnected and one. This unity of life is a universal message. The truth which Mahavir presented to the world is a universal truth. It is presented by him, and therefore Jains have followed it to some extent. I must say that only some extent, because even the Jains have not been completely free of this exploitation and destruction of nature. We have also been involved in industry, which is polluting the air, and we have been involved in production and consumption. That has, in the modern world, become the goal of life. Production, consumption, economic growth, money, profit, all these things are means to an end. The end is the preservation and the integrity of life itself. Well-being of the planet and well-being of humans is the goal, is the ultimate end. And economic growth, industry, business, money, profit, these are the means to protect the planet Earth and enhance the well-being of humans. That should be the goal. But in our modern times, all over the world, India, China, Europe, America, Japan, everywhere, we see that this has changed. The means and the ends have become confused. And making profit, growing economically, running good business, and increasing our airports and roads and railways and seaports and industry and commerce, ever increasing those ideas have become the goal, become the end, particularly end aim, end goal. And human life and nature have become the means to enhance the economy. Every business will have HR department. HR stands for human resources. Now, this is a dreadful word. Humans are not a resource for profit making. Humans are not a resource for the economy. Humans are not a resource for running organization, business, industry, etc. Human capital, that's a dreadful word. Humans are not capital. Humans are the source of life itself. Human talent, human imagination, human creativity, human spirit, these are the most important things to preserve, protect, enhance, and look after. And the money, profit, is business, industry, commerce, all these should be the means to the end. That is the Jain principle. So let us go back to what are the aims and what are the means. Nature has also become a resource for the economy in our modern world. The industrial, materialistic worldview will look at nature and say, it's only a resource for the economy. That is against the Jain principle. Nature is not just a resource for the economy. Nature is a source of life itself. And not only a source of life, nature is life itself. And therefore, we have to look at the economy in a very proper way and put nature or life at the top. In the classical economics, we had land, labor, and capital. Capital was the third at the bottom, and the land, which means nature, land, which means soil, land, which means forests, and the whole environment. That is land. So in the classical economics, the nature and environment and the soil and the land were at the top, and we look after them. We enhance them. We make sure that the land and the soil and the forests are not depleted. They are managed like a true capital. And then humans, labor is the humans. Human beings are equally important because, as I said already, the humans and nature are one. So if the nature and humans are looked after, then the capital, money, industry, profit, banking, commerce, these are in the service of humans and nature. That is the Jain principle, that the money and profit should be in the service of humanity and nature. So, but at the moment, in our industry and in our HR and department and all that, nature has become a source, humans have become a source. So nature and humans are in the service of economy, profit, business, money, and so on. This is the most important challenge that we face today. And therefore, I would suggest that on the day of Mahavir Jayanti, we should go back to the first principle of the unity of life and say Parasparo Pagraho Jivanam is the most fundamental and urgent message that we need to spread in the world. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say a few words about the Jain principles, to honor and pay my homage and my tribute to our founder of the Jain tradition, Mahavir, on this occasion of Mahavir Jayanti. Thank you very much. I would.
Thank you so much, Satish ji. That was Satish Kumar, of course, the winner of the 2021 Ahimsa Award, with such a heartfelt message. But we are so proud that the message of Jainism and the environment, life and forest and seas and so on, is being heard through Satish Kumar at important global events like COP26 and what he has done over so many years to highlight the need for better maintenance and better preservation of the environment is absolutely tremendous. And we're so grateful that you found time to be with us today, and we hope to see you in person at our next event. So now we move on to the first OneJAIN Lifetime Achievement Award. And the award, before I start on the winner, I just want to tell you a little bit about the award. It recognizes a member of the UK Jain community who has made a significant lifetime contribution to the community and to the Jain way of life in the UK. Over the past 2 years, we have not been able to give the awards because of COVID. There was a plan to give them at the end of last year, but because of rising COVID numbers, we thought it important to keep the safety of our community and postpone them. We are, however, delighted to announce them here today. So the first award goes to Dr. Nathubai Shah. Dr. Shah, who sadly passed away recently, was an icon of the Jain community here in the UK. His vision was simply ahead of his time. However, he had the willpower and the sheer tenacity to achieve that vision. And with his success within the community and his representation of Jainism on the interfaith platforms, he became a well-known figure both here in the UK and in India. Nathubai was born in 1932 in India and for 40 years was a GP. After that, he became a professor of Jain studies, and despite all of that, I think he is best known within our community and generally for his tireless efforts to build, firstly, the Jain Derasar at Leicester, and more recently, the Derasar in Colindale in London. The Leicester Jain Centre, I think is fair to say, is the heart of the Jain community within that area. It's also given so much awareness of Jainism that it has spawned much interest in academia. I think it's fair to say that it was the first Derasar in the West to be built to accommodate all sects of Jainism. So you see a Deravasi, a Stanakwasi, a Digambar shrine there, and that brought the entire Jain community together. This model has now been followed by many other temples, both in the UK and in the US and elsewhere. And I think it's a great service to the Jain community to be able to bring them together in this way. Nathubai founded and led many charities, and these support both the community and nature, but also education. And Nathubai has, in that field, become not only a published author, but he has put so much effort that Jain studies is now taught at many institutions with whom he was associated. His work has been recognized both here in the UK with so many awards, but there are two that are worth mentioning today. The first was in 2001 when the Honorable Prime Minister of India gave him the highest Jain award possible, which is the Jain Ratna. And then in 2012, Her Majesty the Queen conferred upon him an MBE for his work within the community. We are truly saddened that Nathubai's recent passing means he can't be here with us today to receive this award. And what we would like to do is to have a brief moment of reflection so that you can think about the life's work, the effort, and the progress and impact that Nathubai has made. And after that, we are absolutely delighted that his son, Dr. Samir Shah, will be with us to accept the award on his behalf. So the Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Dr. Nathubai Shah.
Jai Jinendra. V, that's Lena. and I are humbled to receive, on behalf of our late father, Dr. Nathubai Shah, the OneJAIN and Institute of Jainology Lifetime Award for the services provided to the Jain and wider communities in the year 2021. Now, we find the award to be a beautiful, beautiful idea, and commending the initiative that recognizes selfless service to others, as well as the principles of Jainism that include compassion and non-violence. We've noted past winners of the title who have done so much and continue to do so much for the Jain cause, such as Vinod Bhai, Mana Bhai, and Jayanti Bhai. And we're now honored that Nathubai's name is being added to this prestigious list. So a huge, huge thank you for this. People who know Nathubai know that he epitomizes selfless service, and those who also have worked with him will appreciate that Jain values, or the spreading of Jain values, the Jain philosophy, was his passion, his obsession. In fact, people would say it was his raison d'etre. It was this purpose over and above what he would normally do as either a job, as a doctor, or as a profession. He's been doing this, he had been doing this for well over 4 decades. Now, we also respect and understand that the wider nature of the award is supposed to encourage others. It's supposed to encourage others in the Jain community to go beyond their normal daily routines, beyond their normal jobs, and to give back to our community. And in its own way, to inspire others to get involved, and especially the younger Jains in our community. We certainly hope that this award continues for a long term, that it continues to inspire others, and it continues to inspire younger Jains. So a huge thank you to everyone in the OneJAIN and Institute of Jainology for this prestigious award to our late father, Dr. Nathubai Shah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samir Bhai, for that beautiful message. As I said, we're saddened that Nathubai can't be here with us, but we are very grateful that you have come to accept it on his behalf. Thank you again so much. And we all look forward to the completion of the Jain Center in Colindale and look forward to Nathubai's vision and ambition being realized. Thank you again. So, our next item is one that you've probably heard several times if you've been following our Mahavir Janma Kalyanak events, and that is Jainpedia, the online encyclopedia we created in 2010, which had a collection of the folios and collections from the British Library, the V&A, Bodleian, Wellcome Trust, Royal Asiatic Society, and many, many others. Over the past 2 years, it's gone through a revamp because we've had to change and fix many things. Technology has moved on. However, I'm delighted to say it's back up and running. You can access it on jainpedia.org. It's available now, but I have with me today the team that actually helped recreate it, looked at all the content, made sure it was all correctly transferred, did the quality, the checks, and put in so much dedication that we thought it would be appropriate to let them tell you the work that they've done and the product as it is now. So over to you.
Thank you, Mailbhai. Jai Jinendra and pranam to everyone. Jainpedia was launched in 2011 and since then has been the largest Jain website, receiving positive and enthusiastic feedback from visitors around the world with over 5 million page views. Here are a few slides of the original website. So, why the need for a new Jainpedia version? During the last 10 years, a lot has changed. The scope of mobile technology has advanced considerably. Websites have also evolved considerably with search engine updates, updated website trends, new and evolving features and functionalities. People all over the world are accessing content more and more on various mobile devices and platforms. So a technology and design upgrade was necessary to keep up with current trends, to enable increase in the scope of content, and to be able to work with other organizations like the National Digital Library of India to make Jain content more accessible. The second reason is a practical one. There were increasing problems with the website database, and King's College are now no longer able to host and maintain the website. We also need to get the numbers of visitors to the site to the levels during the initial launch. The Jainpedia version 2 has been a significant project. After nearly 2 years of hard work, the Institute's dedicated team, together with the web developers, have ensured that the site is much improved in this new version. We take this opportunity to introduce members of the team and their roles. Starting with myself, Kishore Bimji Shah. I was involved in the designing, creating new graphics, testing, reviewing, and updating content where necessary of the front page, gallery, timeline, e-library, resources, about, content, contact and support us, and assisted with testing of the manuscripts, associated folios, and reading section. I also managed progress of items on the snagging list and created the pre-launch and usability review checklist and liaised with the Jainpedia team and with the main web developer in India. Shruti Maldev worked on testing manuscripts, glossary, reading section of the new website. Ketna Neil Shah and Neil Shah both worked on testing primarily the 92 manuscripts and associated 5,000 or so folios. This involved checking all the folios are in order and images are clearly visible. Both also worked on the glossary and reading sections. Neil is involved in Google Analytics following the launch of the sites.
Jai Jinendra. My name is Altaf Samji. I worked on testing the articles section and used my IT experience to improve elements of Jainpedia version 2. The new Jainpedia has a host of new features, including a mobile-friendly website with a contemporary and responsive design that provides a consistent website experience on all platforms, regardless of device, whether it be a computer, laptop, mobile phone, or iPad. The new website boasts a clean design with improved navigation and signposting, making moving around the site easy. The front or home page is better organized now with a slideshow with more images and accompanying text that gives greater insights to the scope of the website. 2 articles and manuscripts are highlighted, and these will be updated regularly to ensure they are topical. There are quick links, highlights of Jainpedia, Jainism FAQs, and a dedicated support us page giving visitors to website an opportunity to contribute so that we maintain, improve, and develop the site further. The timeline has been updated with 21st century events and milestones. The 3 volumes of the catalogue of Jain manuscripts in the British Library are available in the e-library. The front page has live Jainpedia social media feeds from Facebook and Twitter. The Twitter feed has interesting threads worth following. The What's New section enables quick access to what's new on the website from the front page. We hope that the featured glossary terms section will encourage visitors to explore the enhanced and extensive glossary section. It is a good way to learn Jain terms. There is a new Stay Connected section featuring a new subscribe facility for updates on the site. We encourage everyone watching today to subscribe to this. The gallery has new and enhanced design and layout with better thumbnails. The gallery is a great way to explore Jainism visually with detailed descriptions of stunning photographs. It also has its own search facility. The e-library has had major makeover with a new layout and graphics. New books have been added and the collection is better presented with a featured publication showcasing the various categories as well as a recent additions section. The resources and about sections, which have remained static since the launch, have been redesigned, enhanced with new graphics and are now fully updated. In resources, the chronology section has been updated with major Jain events for period 2011 to 2021. Jainism FAQs give a summary of main beliefs, practices, and sects, and describes what it means to be a layperson and mendicant. A brilliant introduction to Jainism. The About section gives further information on the Jainpedia vision, management, contributors, project partners, as well as legal documentation like copyright and privacy policy. Accessibility is greatly improved with a prominent display and simple to use accessibility features with many options, as you can see.
For any website, content is all important. One of Jainpedia's greatest strengths is that its authoritative content is presented in such a way that it is accessible and relevant to one who is new to Jainism, as well as scholars, academics, and all in between. This is by no means an easy task, and all credit to Mail by Professor Balbir and Jasmine Kelly, Content Manager. The website has hundreds of pages of original articles on Jainism, written by world-renowned Jain scholars, arranged in 4 themes: people, principles, practices, and places, each with sub-themes. Articles are now mobile-friendly, presented on a single page with facility to navigate to subsections within the article and all areas, like gallery, reading, links, glossary. Articles are rich with glossary terms and links to other related articles to greatly improve understanding of the subject matter and encourage further study. The website also features some 5,000 high-quality folio images from 92 rare and sacred Jain manuscript collections held at British Library, the V&A Museum, the Bodleian Library, and the Wellcome Trust Library. Both articles and manuscripts have further sections for related articles and manuscripts and manuscript images. Thus, each piece of content on the website is closely integrated with other parts producing a seamlessly rich online experience. The website content can be easily printed or shared via social media, WhatsApp, or email. We are pleased with the new site. We are all thankful for the opportunity to work on this project. It has been a rewarding, at times challenging, but nevertheless an enjoyable experience. We are looking forward to developing the site further. Future developments include adding OCR, optical character recognition, to enable search within content or books in eLibrary, a virtual VNA Nehru Gallery, videos and other materials from Anandji Kalyanji Trust, adding more articles, images, etc. The Jain way of life, Jain values and principles are more relevant than ever in today's world. Jainpedia is an invaluable education resource, often cited as the most comprehensive and respected online resource for Jainism. The website is for all ages, for people of all backgrounds and levels of knowledge. It is rich in authoritative, informative, and insightful content, with many visually stunning images, with many new features. One positive consequence during the COVID pandemic has been the increase among Jains to learn more about their faith. We would humbly request all communities and Jain organizations in the UK and worldwide to promote the Jain website to your members in any way you can. This will greatly benefit the next generation. Please do spend some time and explore the website at your leisure and visit it frequently, even daily. Request your family and friends to do the same. You and they will not be disappointed. Thank you for listening, and now I'll hand over back to Mehul. Thank you.
Thank you, Kishore Bhai, Altaf Bhai, and the rest of the team working on Jainpedia. It is definitely a work of passion and a work of dedication. The hours that you've all put into this are absolutely tremendous, and I'm sure all of you, when you look at it, will agree that it's a wonderful resource. The e-library that Kishore Bhai mentioned has been revamped, and I urge you all to take a look. There are books for you, whatever stage of knowledge you're at, and also for your children, and I think you will find it an amazing resource. Finally, we look forward to your comments and feedback. As Kishore Bhai said, we're planning the next version, and whatever feedback you can give, I think would be truly appreciated. So now we come to the second of our OneJAIN Lifetime Achievement Awards, given to somebody who has made a significant lifetime contribution to the community and to the Jain way of life in the UK. And to announce the recipient, I'd like to invite Amit Lathia back on stage to come and tell us who has won the award. Over to you, Amit. I think you may be on mute.
Sorry, Jai Janendra. My name's Amit Lathia, and I'm delighted to be able to present to you the recipient of the OneJAIN Lifetime Achievement Award, which is being awarded to Professor Kanti Madhya, Chairman and founder of the Yorkshire Jain Foundation and the Jain Noble Truths Association. Professor Madhya was born and raised in a strict Jain family in Rajasthan, India. He migrated to the UK in pursuit of an academic career in statistics and currently resides in Leeds. Upon seeing his children growing up in the UK in the 1960s, With an eagerness to learn about Jainism when Christianity was the primary religion being taught in schools, Professor Mahavir had the realization that the heart of Jainism had been masked over the centuries in obsolete languages, rituals, diffuse writings, vast literature, etc. This served as an inspiration to research Jainism through the prism of science, and his pioneering Jain thinking was first submitted as an axiomatic system in 1979 after many years of research. In 4 axioms, based on original Jain scriptures but formulated using the language of modern science, Professor Mahavir outlined the fundamentals of Jain theory and practice, and their full exposition was given in the 1990 first edition of the Scientific Foundations of Jainism. Now, in its 3rd edition, this book has become a classic on Jainism and science, and has been translated into Hindi and Gujarati. The 4 axioms have now become known as the 4 Noble Truths of Jainism, as presented in Living Jainism, an Ethical Science, which was co-authored with Aidan Rankin, and written for a general audience beyond those with a technical and scientific background. Professor Mahavir has been presented with several awards for his professional achievements, including the Guy Medal in Silver by the Royal Statistical Society in 2003, the Wilkes Memorial Award by the American Statistical Association in 2013, and the Lifetime Achievement Award by the International Indian Statistical Association in 2019. Professor Mahavir's efforts in Jain scholarship have been designed to shift the focus from Jainism to Jainness, which he describes as the Jain spirit and the qualities of being a Jain, whilst finding ways in which to make the ancient Jain Dharma more accessible to the younger generation. He has throughout his lifetime had numerous appointments promoting Jain values in Jainism, and I'll take a few moments to highlight some of these. He's a founding member of the Leicester Temple and was a pioneering editor of the Jain between 1980 and 1981. In 1987, Professor Mahavir founded the Yorkshire Jain Foundation, where he presides as chairman to this present day. Among its main objectives is the promotion of Jain values to both Jain and non-Jain audiences alike. Between 1991 and 1998, he was a vice chairman and trustee of the Jain Academy, and a senior lectureship in Jainism was created at the De Montfort University. He has led the establishment of the Jain Darasa within the Hindu temple in Leeds in 2001, and maintains a leadership role there to this present day. In 2004, the National Council of Vannic Associations UK presented an award in recognition of his achievements in Jainism and science. To support the interest generated in his work by the younger generation, the international group Jain Noble Truths Association was formed in October 2017. Professor Mahavir has facilitated the promotion of Jainism on several digital platforms, including Jainpedia and the Facebook page Jain Science. As an expert in the field of Jainism and science, he has been invited to give keynote speeches and lectures at various conferences and forums globally, including presenting a talk at Jito, Ahmedabad in November 2016, delivering 3 talks at the Jaina Convention in Edison, New Jersey in July 2017, and addressing the House of Commons as a chief guest and keynote speaker during the 2017 Ahimsa Day celebrations. Professor Mahavir continues to promote the ideals of Jainism both in his publications and in various forums, consistently in demand as a reputable speaker on every aspect of Jainism and science. We are therefore delighted to present the OneJAIN Lifetime Achievement Award to Professor Kantibhai Mahavir.
Distinguished guest, Shravak and Shravika, Jai Jinendra. Many thanks, Amit Bhai, for the profile. I am so grateful to the OneJAIN Award Committee for this prestigious life Achievement Award. I am humbled that some felt I was deserving and nominated me. It is indeed an unexpected surprise. I've been riding two horses, one in statistics and another in Jain thinking. I have received a number of awards for my statistics work, but this one I cherish more because it is linked to the religion I was born with. When we came to this country about 60 years ago, there were very few Jains, which was a challenge in being without a community, but also an opportunity to raise awareness of Jainness, which was lacking among the public and even among teachers and academics. My inaugural address in 1975 for the chair of statistics gave me an opportunity to bring to the audience Jainism and science. Meanwhile, in 1978, to give a lecture to the Interfaith Society in Leicester made me develop, which is now what is called the Four Noble Truths of Jains. With Jain theory well established, I realized I also need to promote Jain practices. This led to the formation of the Yorkshire Jain Foundation, YJF. Seeing a need to make the Four Noble Truths then more accessible, I formed also the Jain Noble Truth Association, JNTA, with young people also taking the lead. With their initiative, launch music videos on these truths on YouTube. Thus, broadly speaking, the YJF has been an avenue for Jain practices and the JNTA for Jain theory, both serving to promote Jain true values. There are many whom I would like to thank, all the YJF members, all the JNTA members, many scholars and Guruji. Above all, my wife Pawan, my daughters Bela and Nita, my son Hemant, my daughter-in-law Preeti, my grandchildren Ashwin and Sachin. I hope my example may inspire or motivate younger generation to keep heading in that direction. My go home message to them is that much remains to be done to publicize Jain theory and practice, both for Jains and non-Jains alike, and the rewards are infinity. Once again, many thanks for the award, which I am delighted to accept. Finally, let me reiterate, Jainam Jayati Shasanam. Let Jainness thrive and Michami Dukudam.
Thank you, Professor Kantibai Madia, so much. You have done so much to improve the lives of Jains in Yorkshire and spread the awareness of Jainism across the world. You're such a deserving winner, and I do hope, as you say, people will take your example and look to do the same. For everybody else, Kantibai is with us on Zoom, so please feel free to use the chat function to congratulate him for such an amazing award and for being such a worthy winner. Thank you so much. So now we have one surprise item, which wasn't originally there, but it's coming shortly. But before we get to it, I am honored and delighted that Pujya Samniji, Dr. Pratibha Pragya, will send us her Manglik and blessings So we will do that and then we'll come on to the item. Thank you.
May I request you all, please fold your hands in prayer pose. Close your eyes gently. Om Reem Namo Arhantanam. Om Reem Namo Siddhanam. Om Reem Namo Ayariyanam. Om Reem Namo Uvajjayanam. Om Reem Namo Loe Savvasahunam. Isu Panchanamukkaro Savvapavupanasano Mangalanam Cha Savvesim Padhamam Havai Mangalam. Padhamam Havai Mangalam. I salute to Arhat, enlightened ones, the Siddha, liberated ones, the Acharya, the head of religious congregation, the Upadhyay, the religious teachers, and the sadhus and sadhvis in this universe. These fivefold great salutation destroy all our sins and auspicious amongst the all auspicious ones. Chattari Mangalam Arahanta Mangalam Siddha Mangalam Sahu Mangalam Kevali Pannatto Dhammo Mangalam. Chattari Luguttama Arahanta Luguttama Siddha Luguttama Sahu Luguttama Kevali Pannatto Dhammo Luguttamo. Chattari Saranam Pavajjami Arahante Saranam Pavajjami Siddhe Saranam Pavajjami Sahu Saranam Pavajjami Kevali Pannattam Dhammam Saranam Pavajjam. The enlightened ones, the liberated ones, the religious monks and nuns, and the religion propounded by the omniscient is auspicious. The enlightened ones, the liberated ones, the monks and nuns, and the religion propounded by the omniscient is supreme. I take refuge in Arhat, Siddha, Sadhu, and the religion propounded by omniscience. Om Arham.
Om Haram Pujya Samniji, and thank you again so much for your blessing. We truly, truly appreciate it. So before we move on to our surprise item, could I just take a moment to say a couple of quick thank yous. Firstly, the two MPs who chair and are chair of our APPG and the deputy chair, Gareth Thomas MP for Harrow West and Bob Blackman MP for Harrow East. We're grateful that they took time from what is a busy schedule at the House of Commons to give us their messages today. We had quite a few awards, and what you don't see is the independent judges whose names we don't publish, but who are truly independent and take an independent view of the applications and make recommendations. And we're grateful for the time and effort and the selection that they have done for us. Of course, with the judges and the awards, you get the winners, and we are happy to see the winners, the examples that they've set. They're all extremely worthy, and Our heartfelt congratulations from all of the Institute of Jainology and OneJAIN. We hope that you carry on blazing a trail for others to follow. We had the Jain Student Association and Rahil came on the program. Thank you again. An exciting initiative, and we think one that will pay handsome dividends in years to come. We also had Altaf Bhai and Kishore Bhai from Jainpedia and the work that they've done over the last 2 years with such dedication to make sure that they were able to release the next version of Jainpedia. We also had Major Neeraj Shah. What a fascinating conversation about how you can be Jain, follow ahimsa, vegetarianism, and still be in the British Army. And I think one that will raise more questions, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations on. And finally, Satish Kumar ji, our worthy winner of the Ahimsa Award last year. And what a passionate speaker on the environment and a Jain voice on the global platform. I think he does amazing work, and we're grateful, for his time. Of course, what you don't see is the IOJ team that have spent hours pulling this together, and my thanks to all of them. Everything from planning to getting the speakers to making sure the agenda works to the production today. Thank you all so much. And finally, to all of you. Without you, there wouldn't be an event, and we're grateful that people from all over the world log into this, and we are really looking forward to seeing you at the next event, which we hope, truly do hope, will be in person at the House of Commons. We haven't been there for over 2 years, and we're really keen to do that. So now, coming on to the two events, what we want to do is, technology permitting, we have a second bhajan from Rupal Ben Shah. You heard one at the top of the program. We have a second one that is for this. And maybe before that, we have a special prayer of unity from Satish Kumarji, a prayer that is pertinent not only to what we see today, but how we should lead our lives. So over to those two, and we look forward to seeing you again. Stay safe wherever you are, and please stay for the prayers. Thank you.
Let's have a short meditation. In our Jain tradition, when we greet someone, we put two hands together, two palms together. The right palm represents the world and the other, and the left palm represents the self. So by bringing two palms together, we unite the world and the self together. So we bring our both palms together and we bow to sacred life, sacred soil, sacred earth, and sacred universe. We see all beings in us and ourselves in all beings. We see whole universe in ourselves and ourselves in the whole universe. Each one of us are a microcosm of macrocosm. Cosmos is our country. The planet Earth is our common home. Nature is our nationality, and love is our religion. All living beings are sustained by the same breath of life. Thus, we are all connected. We are all related. We are interbeings. We all share a single origin. Unity and diversity dance together. All our thriving is mutual. When separation and divisions end, suffering ceases. We go beyond right and wrong, beyond good and bad. We bow to the unity of life. We bow to the diversity of forms. We bow to the sacred, to life, to the earth, to the universe. Breathe in, breathe out, and smile. Relax and let go. Let go of all expectations, attachments, and anxieties. Let go of all worries, fears, and anger. Let go of ego. Let us move from ego to eco. Breathe in, breathe out, smile, relax, and let go. Feel that we are at home. We are at home. We are at home. We are at home on this planet Earth. Thank you.
Jai Jinendra everyone, I'm Rupal and I'd like to dedicate this stavan to Trishla Mata on the birth of her son Mahavir Bhagwan. वीर झूले त्रिशला झुलावे झुलावे धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे वीर झूले त्रिशला झुलावे झुलावे धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे घड़ी रमे घड़ी हंसे घड़ी मने मानी शीशु बनी ने खेली जगनो स्वामी प्यार भरी माता पुढ़ारी पुढ़ारी धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे वीर झूले त्रिशला झुलावे झुलावे धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे गीत सुनावे। घड़ी रमे घड़ी हंसे घड़ी मने मानी, शीशु बनी ने खिले जगनो स्वामी। प्यार भरी माता पुढ़ारी पुढ़ारी, धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे। वीर झूले त्रिशला झुलावे झुलावे, धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे। धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे। धीरे धीरे मीठा मीठा गीत सुनावे।
Jai Janendra.